And we've got to start looking at ourselves to make sure our own immune systems give us that level of assurance that we can be healthy, because that's the bottom line, is how healthy are you. Differences between raw milk and pasteurized milk are substantial. Raw milk has the phosphatase enzyme, which is critical for the absorption of calcium, and if you have osteoporosis, you don't need much of that. It's like lactase, missing in people with lactose intolerance. Well, guess what? If you have osteoporosis, you don't make much of that enzyme. It doesn't work very well. The test for pasteurization is called the negative phosphatase test. Phosphatase is the third most prevalent enzyme in raw milk. So how are you supposed to absorb calcium if you don't have phosphatase in pasteurized milk? It's the big dairy lie. And unfortunately, people are taking things like Fosamax, killing their jaw, dead jaw syndrome, all kinds of ugly things happening because they're searching for that golden or that silver bullet. When in fact, food has it. Whole foods have it. Raw milk is a whole food. Lipase, which is obviously the fatty acid, the enzyme that helps hydrolyze fats, is available in raw milk. Immunoglobulins, there's a bunch of them, and they help resolve asthma and bolster the immune system. If you think about what a cow does, she interrelates with the environment for us. She's out in a pasture, she's eating all kinds of pollen and all kinds of things out there, interrelating to all kinds of antigens and creating antibodies in her milk to those antigens. And as a result, when we drink the milk, we get her experience of what she's interrelated with the environment. Just like bees do the same thing. In fact, it's kind of interesting, land of milk and honey, if you think about those two things. Those are both living foods that interrelate to the environment, which help bolster the human immune system. Living raw milk does that same thing. Lactase-producing bacteria, again, bifidobacteria, E. coli. If you see in the newspaper, E. coli sickens thousands, what they're talking about is not E. coli. They're talking about E. coli 015787, which is one subclass of E. coli. And unfortunately, people think of E. coli as bad. Well, there's 230 kinds of E. coli, only a couple of which are pathogenic. The good ones control the bad ones. The other thing about E. coli is you can't make vitamin K, B1, B2, B6, and B12 without them. Without E. coli, we would die in a few weeks. So they're essential to life. 90% of our digestive tracts bacteria are E. coli, the beneficial kinds of E. coli. So don't let anybody tell you E. coli is bad. There's only a couple of them that are bad. You need good ones. Delicate proteins are changed and denatured by the heating process. And then the vitamins, they can be diminished as well. Some are not diminished very much, but many are diminished dramatically. Calcium and phosphorus are not absorbed well with pasteurized milk. So big differences. When the FDA says things like, drinking raw milk is like playing Russian roulette with your life, I've heard this so many times, just time and time. These PhDs that they hire to come be testimonials from an expert witness. They call me in to be an expert witness on raw milk and say, you know what, I don't care about with your life. I'll take that any day. What about American roulette with your life is where 240 people a day die from this, and we don't even talk about it. And about all this list of all these chronic diseases, that's American roulette. And that's like a death knell, a 99% death kind of thing. I'll take Russian roulette any day. So, I mean, it's kind of funny when you say that, but it's so true because the dogma, it just doesn't fit the paradigm. These are the conditions in which you see pathogenic bacteria developing. Cows standing on concrete, cows in big slurries of manure being fed a lot of grain. This is in antibiotics and hormones. This is where you see weakened cows' immune systems, and this is where you see 31%. 31% of the time, cow's milk has pathogens, and about 98% of the time, it's fine salmonella. This is the kind of conditions that we see all over the place. So, that is milk intended for pasteurization. This is the kind of conditions, this is organic pasture dairy, where you see sun-drenched pastures. This is what it looks like right now, even after getting a couple inches of rain in the last few weeks. We're able to move from pasture to pasture to pasture. The cows are not laying around in a bunch of mud, and there's no manure. The manure that's there is digested, but in sunlit drenched environments, this is where you safe. And this milk has always been safe. Even back in the 1800s, where a lot of people died from raw milk, that milk was from conditions in the previous page, not conditions like this out in Pennsylvania. This is a shelf chocolate you might see on some of the stores out there. I don't know if it's still up, but it's kind of cute. 800 times more probiotic than yogurt. That's a true statement. When you think about bacteria and milk having 20 to 30, it's a tremendously more robust rebuilder. Okay, that's the general basis of the bottom line of this whole thing. The elements found in raw milk are missing in America. you look at Weston Price's work, and you look back in the 20s and 30s, and you evaluated different tribes around the world. Remember, these tribes never talked to each other. They didn't know each other. The Eskimos never talked to the Maasai never talked to the Bulgarians. Nobody ever talked to, but they had very similar things in their diet. Not all of them drank raw milk. Guess what? The Eskimos never drank any raw milk. But they had fermented raw fish. And they ate seal blubber. And they had all kinds of things that were high in enzyme, high in bacteria, and high in raw animal fats. So you can get your raw, you can get it from raw milk real easy and delicious, or you can eat roadkill if you want. It's your choice. That's the beauty of raw milk, is you get a nice little container that's got all these things missing in America. The Maasai drank raw milk, as a matter of fact, all the time. And they never had lactose intolerance whatsoever. That was in America. From drinking raw milk. It's not good. The Bulgarians had sprouted breads, and they had the sauerkrauts, and they had vegetables, and they had raw milk, and they had raw cheeses, and they all lived to be 100 years old. In fact, they named an area in Bulgaria the Centurion area, because everybody lived to be 100 years old and died of non-chronic diseases. So we have an awakening that we need to have in America. It's led by people that care about health. And you'd be surprised how few people actually care about health until they lose it. I hear you? They just... Well, it's there. They assume it's okay, whatever. If I get sick, go to the doctor. They don't think about it as something to maintain because they're going to lose it in a while. They don't. It's not an awareness people get, and it's not something they're asked to get. It's something that's just not regarded as important until you lose it.
I think it was Carnegie or Ford, one of the two, on their deathbed, said, "I'd give up all my money to have my health back."
You got it. And most people think of that when they lose it, or they get painful, or whatever they may have. They think, "Oh gosh, I wish I had health." That wasn't an awareness early on. In fact, it's an awareness that you start with children and mothers, and really growing them up to think that, gosh, nobody can provide you health except for you. And you can help advise them, doctors can help advise them, but at the same time, it's you that makes decisions about whether you're going to be able to run and live and have healthy children yourself. Weston Price, when he went around the world, Dr. Price talked to these tribes. He asked the question of all of them. He asked them, why do you eat these foods? And the answer in their various languages came back the same thing. It was, because we want to have healthy children. If you ask an American why they eat food, they say because I'm hungry or tastes good or whatever. But they rarely will ever say because I want to have healthy offspring. And so we don't think of ramifications of what we're doing today in our genetic next round or what's going on in the country. As a result, we see things like autism. 1 in every 150 kids, right now being born autistic. We see things like ADD. We see all kinds of things that are all nutritional basis. We see genetic things going on. We see all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah, vaccinations. Now, interesting thing you bring up about vaccination. Raw milk is a vaccination, but it's an oral vaccination because it's giving you 25 different kinds of bacteria that's being given to your body in the correct form and the correct route so that your body can actually mount a defense against whatever it might be and actually have the correct relationship to build antibodies and guess what? Have a robust immune system. A vaccination, got all kinds of weird stuff in that in a vaccination injection. It goes directly into your circulatory system via a direct injection. And as a result, guess what? It bypasses the normal systems that you would have to robustly build an immune response. And as a result, you see all kinds of weird things happening we've never seen right after getting a vaccination, especially in a child who has immune depression. So how's he supposed to even react anyway? So it's pretty spooky. Any questions about raw milk and how it may fit in your life or not fit in your life? Any thoughts about that? I brought some samples today of some stuff. I brought